The Carver Project is a unique artistic exhibit that features a collection of many written responses by Vancouver's downtown eastside community. Every year, we ask the community a thought-provoking question with the goal of sharing the humanity behind the community. In this slide, you'll see some of the responses from the questions that we've asked in our previous years in Carver Project 1 and 2. And this year, our question was, what have you learned about community and connection in the past year? And our heart goes out to our community partners, Union Gospel Mission, Mission Possible, and Eastside Works, who helped us gather these responses.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, you're so kind. Oh, thank you. Hi, my name is Carissa Lendicho, and I will be your host for this evening for Carver Project 3.0. For those of you who don't know me, I am the current head of advocacy as well as a community mentor for Employ to Empower. I am beyond thrilled for you to meet and hear these amazing stories from each of our speakers today.
Iven Simonetti is the founder of MedicineArt, an Employ to Empower entrepreneur and a downtown eastside peer. He is a counselor and expressive art therapist who works with alternative forms of therapy, including music, play, and art making, to foster positive mental health and self-care, art therapy. His goal is to help provide a healing space for people transforming emotional pain using different art forms. Currently, Iven sells a MedicineArt calendar that uses recycled paper that focuses on friendly mental health messaging. Reflecting on the past year, Iven is looking to share his insights on the key drivers of disconnection, emotional constipation.
I want to quote my company slogan, something on your heart, give it to the art. And it will be rewarding. And it's based on my formula that when you feel something, you can express it. When you express it, you can release it. And when you release it, you become stronger and you can heal.
Hello. That beautiful video was created by our amazing team of Salema, Amy and Alex, who are dedicated creatives that are very dear to. Oh, I have no other words, but they're right here. Hi, love you. Hi. All right. So it brings me great pleasure to welcome on. Please give a big warm applause for Iven Simonetti. I've always seen it on what's it called? How's this? Alrighty. Welcome, Iven. Welcome. All right. So, all right. So, Iven, we've had a lot of great chats. We're very honest when it comes to, just our mental health journeys. I know that you, sorry? Oh, you might have to take it off. There we go. That's okay. Get comfortable. Yeah, we're good. So I would love to dive into this unique approach of expressive art therapy that you take on. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. So, we've always talked about how unique your approach is to expressive art therapy. And of course, I don't want to take the spotlight from you expressing, how you do things. So can you just dive into what you do?
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, I want to say, doesn't she has a lot of fun for COVID times right now, right? Isn't that a little bit too much?
Never enough fun.
We're not supposed to have fun these days, don't we? Anyway, we're having so that's great. Yeah. Well, I would like to start with one of my slogans. Oh, I actually have a shirt too on it.
Double the logo.
Something on your heart, give it to the art. You can't see that, can they? Zoom in. Anyway, so.
So you gotta put on the next slide so they can see it too.
And
there it is.
the message is very clear that when you have whatever it is, whatever emotion is maybe troublesome to you, if you express it, it's released and you can heal from it, right? And the same thing I did with the frisbees. That is me, by the way. Throw it from the heart. So meaning, it's clear, isn't it? You know, when you have any issues or whatever challenges you have in life and you physically exercise and you throw it from the heart, you feel released, right? And when I say this, I have this formula in my mind that when you can feel something and you express it, that way you release it. And through the release, we can grow, we can reconnect with ourselves, and we can become stronger. Yeah, that's my core belief. I have meeting a lot of people from the street who made it out, and other people who were broken, and just looking at people like folks who made amazing things, who built orphanages. Mother Teresa I had in my mind. Mother Teresa, right? She had a very difficult life as well. And many other folks, if you look at their life, who do amazing things for people, they made it possible. They figured out how to make out of pain medicine. And that's my core belief. Yeah.
Thank you, Ivan. And I feel, what you say is, an ultimate truth, and something that, really takes time to acknowledge sometimes, of, being able to sit in that room with the pain. In reflecting on the pandemic and, from the nature of what you do, and the clients that you work with, how has the pandemic maybe impacted that? Has it created more barriers for people? Or do you think it's actually opened things up a little bit more?
Well, let's put it this way. Gratitude always comes from knowing things don't last forever. And we have been bombarded maybe with information and pretentious connection, like the internet or other things where we are connected. We are connected in a way, but also there's another side to it, right? We're also disconnected in a way because we're through screens. We're human beings. We're sensory beings. So the pandemic certainly brought us an appreciation for connection, I believe, and a reevaluation of connections we have had in the past, and what it actually really means to be human, because we've been told to stay at home and put face masks on, and that we're toxic to each other. And so that brought in a new sense and connection to the own human race, I guess, because cities everywhere, people, you know how it is, you're in the SkyTrain, and you're like, oh, so many people everywhere, and you just get upset about everything, right? Yeah.
No, I really hear you, especially when it comes to the nature of the pandemic. It very much, we already saw this coming into the pandemic. We saw a generation of people getting really, forming very close relationships with their phones, with technology, with screens, and with something like a pandemic where you're not supposed to be in close contact or in person with people, that pushes you even further away. And so what would be, as a registered counselor and as, again, an expressive art therapist, and of course you coined this term therapy, like, what would be your advice for somebody that might just be starting that journey?
Which journey exactly?
I think, and this is where I'm very vague, because I want to say mental health journey, but at the same time, sometimes people don't know what they don't know. And so sometimes it's even hard to start that journey if you don't know. And so what would you just tell the general public?
Well, play, reconnect with yourself and be outside, write, draw, dance, clown, perform. Those things are great to reconnect, to get out of your comfort zone. And I made a picture out of this too. I wanted to show this first before here. I'm not sure, does the camera zoom in there? How is that? Hold on, oh, you have to, okay, that's our zoom. All right, there you go. So you see here's a cell phone, right? it does create a connection, I agree, because we're talking right now via screen, but it also can create a disconnection. I don't deny that smartphones have cool things and playful things to play with, but there's also a downside to it, because I learned through also counseling that a lot of people are created a certain kind of persona behind Facebook or Instagram where they're not themselves anymore in a way, and they can only feel comfortable doing that. That's the downside of that. It's too much. I forgot the English word. I can't believe I did. I really liked it. Well, you just keep validating yourself through stuff, and I know this myself as an artist, how dangerous that can be, that you always just look for validation through your work, right? In that sense. And out of what you said with, it is, make the zoom, maybe keep it zoomed in a little bit. There you go. So you see this person here, it's cutting off the comfort zone bags on the balloon. Usually I would ask you, if I would meet you on the street or anywhere with my practice, I would ask you, so what do you see? But I make it easy for you. You can see the guy cutting off the comfort zone bags because he's caught in with fear, flying out of the frame as he does in the corner. That's him as well. And sometimes we need to cut the comfort zone off, whatever that is, for your question for advice, to get out of your comfort zone in a way and take a risk and make a connection, because connections are scary. We've been hurt through connections, maybe from early on, maybe later. We have experienced disappointments. We've experienced all kind of things through connections are very scary. That's why social media is so comfortable, because you can leave whenever you want. You can put the screen off and go to another platform and post their pretty pictures and get validated with thumbs up only, right? Yeah, getting out of your comfort zone, that's it. Throw the disc, enjoy it and play and have fun in that way. That's one of the methods which I prescribe after my session, digging into your childhood maybe, or other things you have felt, hurt and pain, yeah. And there's no side effects for this one, guarantee you. For
no
that.
side effects
No
for
side
play.
effects, yeah.
By the way, scientifically proven.
Yeah.
Look it up.
Ivantifically proven, not scientifically.
True. I was like, shoot. Oh, sorry. Audience members are having a lot of fun over here. Woohoo!
Can't have fun right now.
Sorry, no fun allowed. No fun allowed. But thank you, Ivan. Yeah, I think that's something we forget. I feel like as we they coined the term of getting older and aging, people they be like grow up. I'm like, but why? And so I'd love to tap into that even further. Of what is your favorite way? What is your favorite way to
Of not growing up, or what do you mean?
of playing? I mean, also not growing up.
Well, human matureness and spiritual matureness doesn't come with age. I learned that. And, well, it's a good question. Well, if I'm the mushroom man on the street and I play synthesizer music for you, it is work. It is work, because I drag my equipment down there and I stand there and play and have fun and perform, but it is kind of work, right? And it's part of getting also validation and also getting out of my comfort zone. That was the main part for being the mushroom man and playing at Main and Terminal, or where else did I play? At any SkyTrain station, right? 5 o'clock, everybody's walking through and flipping their phones, creating a connection, right? Question that, but yeah. I guess it's flying kite these days. Flying kite and playing frisbee can be frustrating because I always need someone else, which has been challenging these days. So flying kite is actually a pretty cool COVID hobby. I can only recommend you. And yeah, if you check out my Instagram, you can see the advertisement I already throw out there for glider kites and sun kites, and you can be by yourself, if in case you're scared to meet other people at this time. Yeah.
No, that's great. And that kind of, was leading to my next question, because, going back to that theme of, you don't know what you don't know. And someone that loves to work and do things like me, I sometimes have trouble relaxing and playing. And so sometimes, if you say to somebody, oh, like I prescribe, go have some fun, go play. And that person might sit back and like, how do I do that? How do I play? Yeah. And so sometimes, giving them that permission token that playing is whatever you want it to be. And it's for you, nobody else.
Yeah, the problem is that some people never had play. So given that we're human beings, that we have parents who might have been more or less available for us, you require as a human, you know that term, monkey do, monkey see, or other way around, I'm not sure. Yeah, and so you need someone like me or you, I guess, who is, you do that stuff too, you do with people, right? You make the move, right? So see, they have to watch you in order to do it, because you got all that energy in you where they follow your lead. And the same with me, sometimes you have to do that first and see it happening in front of you, that you actually do it, right? Just like when I'm the mushroom man, so many people came up to me and said like, wow, dude, this is so fucking awesome that you're the mushroom man. Like, you're just here in Vancouver and you're having fun. Like, some people have a very bitter perception of Vancouver, including me. I'm getting better in that perception, but it is a harsh town to start in, because everybody's very busy with paying rent and all that, right? But that's inspired that person, right, to get out of their comfort zone and say, I want to do something else like that and be a clown or whatsoever, right? Yeah. So they have to see it and then they do it.
Huh. Never thought about it like that. But it is true that, and that even speaks to the importance of community, and it speaks to the importance of connecting with those around you, and how it can manifest in different forms. That it's not just, being able to sit down with someone one-on-one and having intimate conversation, but sometimes it becomes a ripple effect, that when you yourself can, share you as a person, then other people will absorb that and take that in.
Yeah, but that already is scary, to sit down and have an intimate conversation, right? Mm-hmm. It's why we rather just ask, how are you? And we hope we get a fine, nothing else. And a lot of people are attuned towards that too, because we're, in that regard, a lot of nations, including Germans, I know that, and as well as Spanish-speaking people, are on autopilot, and that's just what it is. We ask, how are you? And fine. They don't even, if you say something like, hey, it's good to see you. Oh, I'm fine, thanks, how are you? Right? So it didn't even listen for that first 4 seconds. They just go on that, and yeah, there's no connection there in that sense, right?
No, it's very true, and I've definitely been guilty of that. When someone says, "Oh, how are you?" I'm like, "Good, how are you?" And they say, "Good, how are you?" And we say, "Good, how are you?" And it's just this.
Yeah, but you just did what others did. See, you watched them do what they do, and you didn't step out of that and watched from the third person perspective, where you were like, what is everybody doing right now, right?
And so what do you think in terms of overall, because I know, of course, play is really important. Sure. But what else do you think is needed from either, it could be an individual person perspective, a human race perspective? I know that's a lot of pressure.
No, it's no pressure at all. No pressure at all. Well, being spontaneous, taking small risks. Like, I want to bounce this ball here right now. Everybody with me? Okay, watch me. All right. So see, I did something unexpected. That was a risk. Could have gone totally wrong, throw the cameraman off or whatsoever, but I did it. So what happened? I gained a little bit of confidence in that I can have a choice in what am I doing in my own comfort zone, which I expanded in this way that far, literally, right? Because that's how far the ball goes. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. just thank you.
Thank you for pulling everything off here. I mean, I can't see everybody here behind, but that's what I meant with the connection to cell phone, right? There's some dark side to this whole connectedness, multi-billion dollar, stay connected, sign up for whatever. I don't want to name any companies, but thanks for being there. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And to learn more about what Iven, so many things. Actually, do you want to speak more to that? Because I did put the links we will be sharing the links in the chat, but
Yeah.
I would love to share more about the things that you do, because you do so much.
Yeah, I do mainly art. It's all art. It's all just art. It's art does so many things. You know, when I perform, it's art. When I heal, it's through the arts. When I draw, it's art. Literally, when I make music or beats or whatsoever, it's all art. But it's all therapeutic. That's what it mainly is. But if you want to have a piece of me, can you make a zoom again? One of those epic zooms. Just take all the cards and be playful. Take those ones too. They want to see that one too. Look, take the other hand. Do you have two hands? Just be funny. Show them that you're funny. Yeah. So check all those cards out on the online shops. At how is it called? Community Vintage Thrift Shop or Muckboat Gift Gallery. Look them up. Ask Mama Google or Papa Google, or rather use Ecosia, because you actually plant trees. And what's more important than trees? And I'm guilty of having not recycled paper postcards yet. That's I hope I can sleep tonight about that. Thank you. Had a terrible lot of fun here. Is that all legit? Do I get fined now or anything?
Yes, no fun allowed. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to tell.
I'll probably have to quarantine now.
We all do. Okay, well, to learn more about Iven, we actually have a mini documentary on thecarberproject.com, where you can find not only his cardboard piece for his response to the question, but as well a video clip to share more of his story. And those videos were created by our amazing volunteers, Ari and Sam. And in order to also take a look at our virtual gallery, check out carberproject.com. It's a fun little experience.
Diane Finegood is a professor, fellow, and internationally recognized research leader and strategic visionary. A driver of community dialogue, change, and action are known as some of Diane's best attributes. In response to COVID, Diane led COVID-19 Active Now, an ongoing response to the global pandemic at Iven Fraser University. This work has included the sourcing of medical supplies, delivery of community educational programming, providing expert media commentary, and developing of economic recovery strategies. Diane will bring her insights on what drives connection within a community, how it's fostered, built, and how it's sustained.
Anybody in the university and in community connection who wanted to get together to respond to the pandemic and try to build some resilience and response to the pandemic could come together. So we created an online space. We use Zoom on a weekly basis. We used the technology Slack as a place for people who could meet asynchronously or not together at the same time. And over the course of from April to December, when we closed the network, there were more than 200 and some odd people who participated. There were 28 opportunities to connect with people virtually online and have conversation and do those kinds of things. So that's kind of that, plus other things in my history over the years as a prof played a role in doing that kind of work. So do you want me to keep going, or do you want to ask another question?
No, of course. I want to dive into that because, of course, in a if this weren't COVID, these kinds of programs and whatnot would be in person. And so being a facilitator of this can be difficult. It can be a challenge of its own. And from a personal experience, it can be a task and a challenge to even create a community for yourselves and create a connection for yourself. And so I kind of want to get your headspace of what some of those challenges or barriers that you face as a facilitator to foster that connection community within the school.
It's a great question. And I think, I mean, to want to speak, I always want to sort of zoom out and think about, well, what's the general principle here? What's the message that anybody can utilize? I have zero experience really in the downtown East Side, so I don't want to speak with any sense of authority about what it takes to create connection in the downtown East Side. Although I have the experience of having met Spike, and I feel quite sad to have that we've lost Spike because he taught some of my students a couple of years ago and took them on tours around the downtown East Side. So he's somebody who created some connection for me, but that's limited for me. But in general, I think the thing about creating connection is we need, as a facilitator, we need to recognize that people come looking for connection for different reasons. Like this for me was something I've learned repeatedly over time, that often there's kind of two rough categories in my experience. People come and because they have a self-interest, they want to get a project done, they want to find others who are interested in that project. And this is what happened in our experience of SFU CoveNet. About half the people, or a bunch of people, came because they wanted to do something. They're action-oriented people. And the other half kind of came because they wanted to build a relationship and they wanted to build trust with other people, and they wanted a safe space to have a conversation with other people, for example, about racism. And as a facilitator, if you can remember that people are initially coming for their own reason, and that if you can satisfy or be clear that you can't satisfy some of those reasons, then people can self-select as to whether they continue to build that connection and try to be part of that community. So you kind of need to recognize that different reasons, and those different reasons, if they're not served, people will go away, right? But they might keep coming back if those self-interests are served and they can find what they're looking for, be it just human connection, be it conversation, be it a chance to get employed, be it a chance to roll out a project where you can collect technology and support people who don't have access to it. Like, all kinds of different things can happen. But if you don't recognize there's different reasons, then you run the risk. And there's a community I'm trying to become part of right now myself, and I feel like, well, my needs are not being met. I don't know how many more times I'll come to try to build a connection with people.
Very interesting, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
Kind of what I talked about this morning, the beginning, and the book that I'm reading about, The Art of Gathering. And one of those elements is that to make that experience meaningful is, that shared intent. And of course, it's hard for that intent to just, manifest. And so what do you think, what are the important qualities that need to be present? Maybe the kinds of environment, kinds of people, or just, how would you describe just qualities?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Well, certainly safe space. If you come to a space to find community and it doesn't feel safe, that can be a problem. Although I really liked what Iven said about small risks, about getting out of your comfort zone. Sometimes it takes the individual seeking that community to do those things and to enter a community. And then if you enter that space where somebody's trying to create community and you feel reasonably safe, then you might come back. And as you come back repeatedly, you start to build a sense of trust with the other people who are in that space. And as you go down that path of building trust, then you're going to come back, not just for yourself, but you're going to start to come back for other people in that space, right? You're gonna see the value not just to you but to others. And maybe sometimes you come originally because you want to help others, but there's different reasons. So you need that quality of repeated engagement, opportunity to build trust, feeling safe, feeling connection, to get to a place where you're there and you're really part of a community that is both there for yourself and there for other people. And then there's this kind of cool thing that can happen, which is after enough trust and community's been built, you might actually be able to have real influence, not just for the individuals who are part of it, but for others, because new ideas will spread more quickly and things like that.
Very true. And I like what you said right there too, of, when the trust is there and when the sense of belonging, connection is there, then new things will come out of it. And because I feel it opens up the opportunity and gives permission to each individual there to be their full selves. And with that space, you can really, access those creative thoughts, those ambitious thoughts. I really wanted to tap into one of the other elements that you said of, creating a safe space. I feel, a lot of us, well, I hope, have the intention of creating a safe space, but what would even be the first step to creating a safe space?
Yeah, well, obviously respect and empathy and things like that. My experience, I first learned this quite a few years ago when, in a very different context, I was trying to have conversations. I was doing work in the area of obesity and providing some leadership around health research and funding. And we brought together people from the food industry, those evil people in the food industry, with people from government and people from the university and health practitioners. And you can imagine, 20 years ago, even, this was a polarized conversation because we tend to view, Kellogg's, they make sugar sweetened cereals, they're evil, but they also make Special K, which isn't necessarily evil. It might not necessarily be that good for you, or McDonald's, or people like that. And so to try to bring those people together, again, I learned that lesson about some people wanted to act and some people wanted to talk. But for those of us who came for conversation and relationships, you could really learn some interesting things from that other side, right? You could decrease the polarization in the conversation. You could start to understand where they're coming from. I remember lots of conversations from that time where, presidents of companies told me about what they needed from a point of view of regulation, which they'd probably never say publicly, or what they were doing, what they thought they were doing to try to help address a problem like obesity. So it's a different context, but it really is a reinforcement of that. You got to keep coming together. That's part of creating the safe space. And I think that's where I got the message that without a safe space, we wouldn't have these conversations that we can't have in public, but we could have them in private.
So it's consistency. It's
repeated engagement. I think feeling trust, feeling the sense of trust in that space, and then coming back to it because you trust it and continuing to trial and error it. So it's no longer, as Iven said, getting out of your comfort zone, but it is now a comfort zone. So it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. It's rare for those sorts of things to happen. It's an opportunity to build. It's something you need to build.
Yeah, and I think that is, in terms of, if I were to give first steps, the first step is just that awareness, that acknowledgement that it takes time, that in order for an authentic connection to build within community, I remember you saying this in one of our chats before about you can't be afraid to make mistakes, that mistakes is that opportunity to learn.
And I've made lots of them.
I've made lots of them too. Check on being human. Good job for us. Well, we have about 5 minutes left. I would love to turn it back to you and give you the opportunity to give us some, take-home message from, your experience, from what you've witnessed. And of course, I am now coining you as an expert in community and connection, since this is something that you do on a daily. But what would be, your message?
Wow. Wow, that's a good question. You asked me the question. I remember when we were talking about, reflecting over the past year, what's going on, what have I experienced over the past year, and I made the comment that change is in the air, some of it good, and some of it bad, and we can see lots of the bad, but it also feels like there's a lot of good happening as well. And I'm hoping that we've built as a as a as a set of humans some new feeling around that sense that we could actually come together and do things differently and make things better. So I think that's really important, and we all have to come to this in the ways that we can. I'm kind of a glass half full kind of person. I'd rather look at the positive side and the solutions. I'm not trying to ignore the challenges, but we often, in our kind of polarized political social media world, focus on the negative and what's going wrong, and we want to hold our politicians to account. But actually, holding people to account doesn't create a very learning mindset. And learning, picking up again from what Ivan said about small risks and my comments about trying to repeatedly engage and push yourself and all of those sorts of things. All of that's kind of a cycle and a process that grows, and trust becomes emergent over time. And when we build trust, it makes it less complex for us to kind of operate on a daily basis. So those are all really, I think, important things to be thinking about, if we can, as we try to create more community and more connection. And I think the work that Employ to Empower is doing is really exciting, because it's trying to build that connection one person at a time, but then over time you can bring people together and find other ways. So I could rabbit on, but maybe you have another specific question.
No, I think honestly, I just love listening to you talk. That's why I was just like, oh. But no, you've really brought a unique perspective in terms of a lot of the speakers that I've talked to leading up to this event. And yeah, I really honestly take what you've said to me the first time about the importance of trust and the importance of taking time. And I remember, to give everyone context in the room too, there would be times where I'll say, oh, so it's like this, and you're like, no, it's not. And I was like, oh, okay, never mind.
Well, it's hard for me not to be a professor, right? Like, I've spent 35 years as a professor, so I get that my worldview has a very certain slice, right, in its look. But what's amazing to me actually is that across all these different things I did in my career, I can see the threads, and they really do come down to these simple kind of notions that building trust it reduces the complexity for an individual to operate in their world. So if we start at the individual and empower them to trust the people around them, then they can grow. And it's clear that your entrepreneur program is doing exactly that kind of work, is building that level of trust in one-on-one, and providing people the space to grow into the person that they want to be.
And thank you. And that's, the thing that really popped into my mind as you were speaking and through our entire conversation kind of reminds me of, one of our mottos here at Employed in Power that I've taken into my everyday life, but the importance of meeting people where they're at, and actively listening and being present with the person that's in front of you, because not only can you learn so much, but you create community and connection just by being in that setting. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. For the audience, again, if you have any questions for Diane, please throw them in the chat, as she will be a part of our Q&A at the end. All right, and so up next after our break, we have another break. This one's a little bit longer. So to really, get a good stretch in. I know folks over here are doing some lunges, doing some deep squats. Nice work. Good job, Amy and Alex. Woo! All right. Up next afterwards will be Minah, who is the co-founder and co-creative at ArtActionEarwig, as well as an employed to empower entrepreneur. She also has an exciting video to show us, but I'm gonna get ahead of myself. Please enjoy your break. Get some water. Get some food. As well, when you get back, there will also be another interactive question for anybody to join in. All right. See you soon.
Minah Lee is an employed to empower entrepreneur in downtown Eastside Pier. Minah was born and raised in South Korea, moving to Canada in 2007 as a visiting student to the University of British Columbia. Minah is co-founder of Furry Novel, an associate curator for DocuAsia, and a co-creator for ArtActionEarwig. As a socially engaged artist, she harnesses communications in and between diverse communities through practice-based research, performances, panel discussions, and publications. Minah will share the difficulties artists such as herself had faced during the pandemic and the impact that her community has had on her ability to thrive.
Hi, I'm Minah Lee. I'm a multidisciplinary artist, and so I use many media. I mean, it can be sometimes challenging to have that sense of community. So I think when I have that strong sense of community, I think I'm doing much better as a human, or so I'm much more generous and open to other people and other communities.
Reflect, and I want to get your headspace of what it was like to kind of watch that and be here and really just share whatever you would like to share, what you're feeling.
Thank you very much for creating this space for me to share. It was an exclusive viewing experience for someone who can be present today, but will make more opportunities to share with the Downtown East Side community and beyond. So stay tuned, stay connected. It was, about our experience of making art during the pandemic, and so much about connection we talked about, and also something about disconnection that media really delivers with the lagging and technology limitations of our connection during this time. Ivan talked about. So I think it was very meaningful to be able to collect those documentation during this difficult times with the community support. And then it was possible for us to make a short film with the Downtown East Side community, Downtown East Side Small Arts Grant. So it's been really, a humble experience of getting so much support from the community for us to be able to continue our practices and actually grow so much with it. And Christina and Carissa, you have been like amazingly supportive. Like I can't really imagine, to be honest, how I could like get through this time without your really support, like emotionally, like during the time I felt so overwhelmed and really trying to get used to the things that I wasn't really used to, like social media and such, just for the survival of our practices during this time. I very much appreciate it, and the trust you really built with me and the community, and that safe feelings you created for the community.
Thank you. And well, I guess you answered some of my questions, and one of those questions being the role that community has played for you throughout the pandemic. And it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to speak for you, but there's a lot of support there. And as well, I was about to ask you as well the qualities that that make up a strong community. You also said it there too, similar to what Diana brought up, was trust and the safety and the security. In terms of what you want to share with the audience, this can either take the route of talking about. Actually, yeah, let's go into this topic of the importance that community has, and I would love to get your lens from your experience, your words, just describing that importance. And you can use colors, you can use adjectives, you can use metaphors, but just drawing us that visual of the importance that community plays in our lives.
Yeah, it's extremely important, of course. I'll say it's almost like you feel like you're in the garden, feel connected to the land, and feel safe. I think that's a kind of feeling of being in the community, that you feel safe and feel like people accept you, people support you, trust you. So yeah, and I think it's not always possible. Always there are social pressures and that systemic displacement that are looming, that are imminent in some ways, especially if you're part of the vulnerable marginalized communities. You have to always feel that something might happen, and you may lose the communities you built. And that's something that after making this film, actually reflecting on also houselessness in our city, and much bigger issues of displacement like climate, refugee issues. Those are, I think, all connected and important to think about. So always I think it's important to think about who are constantly being displaced right in this moment. And today we had a little shot of this tent city shadow puppets, but also recently another's tent city was displaced. So it's a long process and journey of really finding continuous and sustainable support, which is a lot of work, and we have to kind of constantly pay attention and try to stay connected and be supportive. And I think it takes a lot of energy and work, but it can be also very inspiring and energizing process. So I think really we have to trust the goodness we are building together, and trying to keep building that connection bond.
Yeah, and what it sounds like is a mix of things. There's gratitude there, and there's acknowledgement there. Like you said, there are individuals that are displaced. There are individuals that will lose their community, and so mixing in not only the acknowledgement and honoring, but then also that gratitude there for when we do have it and when we are able to be in it and foster it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Having me taking up the space and speak and share my work. And listen too.
Yeah, and that's the key, and that's what I love the Carver Project, and love that we're all gathered here today with this intent of having that open mind. And because with having an open mind is acknowledging that what's going to come before you might be different from what you've experienced, something you've never experienced before, something you've maybe never expected to ever experience. But the pure acknowledgement that somebody else has or that exists will foster so much more than I can even put into words. So all I have left to say is thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What we have upcoming next is a Q&A. We will take a quick break, I believe. We will be back in about 5 minutes. So really quick break. Oh, right before, I believe I missed a slide. Oh, go back. Let's go back. To learn more about even more videos, we have so much, so much to share about you. We have another mini documentary that created by, again, volunteers, Sam and Ari. The one that we had showed, I had showed you from on cardboardproject.com. And so feel free to check that out as well. Visit earwig.space to learn more about Minah and all the work that she does. Oh, yeah, check out her zine, Home Squad Home. It's amazing.
We also have a workshop coming up.
She also has a workshop coming up. Do you want to plug in those dates?
Oh, yeah. So it's the 19th and 26th Wednesdays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's part of the Revolver Festival, and it's called Shadow Sign for Bedroom Protest. Yeah, what I dare to do in the dark. So it's a shadow sign making workshop for climate rallies, and you can rally with us in your bedroom or on your kitchen table.
I love it. Oh, it's
Yeah.
so cool. We will send the links below, so you can participate in that and support, and just be a part of it. Be a part of this community.
Cardboard Project 3 would not be possible without our sponsors: SFU External Relations Office of the Vice President, BC Housing, Daily Hive, Spotlight West, Van City, and Salema. Our virtual gallery was made possible by photographers Ollie Dickerson and Anna Ashbury, web designer Jordan Simmons, videographer Sam Neufeld, and audio specialist Ari Kikuchi.